Let's get some more analysis then on what is a rather historic afternoon here in Paris. I'm joined live by Paul Smith. He's a historian. He's also an associate professor of French and Francophone studies at the University of Nottingham. Good to have you on this historic afternoon, sir. Very pleased you could join us.
Thanks for having me, Nadia.
Tell us, first of all, what your first thoughts were today when you heard that confirmation it was to be Attal for French Prime Minister.
Well, his name has been doing the rounds quite a lot over the last few days. There were a couple of other names that were being bandied about, but it's very interesting that Attal has got the nomination, got the appointment, because he comes from the left of Macronisme, as it were. He started out, it's not very long ago, but his rise has been pretty meteoric, but he comes from the left. So in some ways he's a bit like Elisabeth Borne, but certainly it's not a complete surprise. A couple of the other names that were suggested, Julien de Normandie and a couple of others, were pretty much non-starters because they were too close to the right.
Okay, so he's on the left of Macron's party, and as I've already mentioned, as James was talking about as well, he will be the youngest prime minister in modern French history. It's also interesting, I think, that Macron was the youngest president when he took office as well. He was 39 at the time. And as you say, they're very close allies. Is it fair, though, to say that Gabriel Attal is sort of a junior Emmanuel Macron? I wonder how far you think the parallels between the two politicians run.
Well, I think left-wing critics certainly want to kind of point to this, that this is simply a kind of, he's a sort of an avatar, as it were, of Macron, but in the Matignon. And there are some question marks there about how he will make his imprint on the office of being prime minister. He's not a heavyweight in any way. He doesn't have the experience of a Borne or a Philippe or a Castex, for example. So I think that there are certainly discussions to be had there about the weight, as it were. So I think that there is a reason for that. There's these being, the idea of young and dynamic, and James was talking earlier, and yourself as well, about this idea of a reset and the wishes to the nation, the speech that he made on the 31st of December, Macron, and this idea of rearming France, determination. This is a year of determination. It's a very packed year. I mean, when you look at the diary going forward, both politically and in other ways, perhaps it's the need for a young and energetic prime minister, but it might also say something about the state of Macron. I was thinking the other day about how this idea of endlessly talking about restarting the dialogue with the French people and just how he thinks that's going to go. So there's a little bit of that going on here as well.
And look, for the moment, Gabriel Attal is popular in France, isn't he? Indeed, according to some polling, he's the most popular politician in the country. But I wonder how long you think that might last, given that he's going to have a difficult job on his hands getting Macron's legislation through a divided parliament.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it could be a matter of weeks. It really depends on him. I mean, there's a lot of criticism in advance of this young politician, but we have to give him a chance to actually perform as prime minister, not just perform, but to deliver. I suppose the two most divisive pieces of legislation, both the pensions reform and the immigration reform, have gone through, and Borne handled that, and she's got the budget through, although using 49.3. So in some ways, this is the way has been cleared for a new prime minister, and we've seen today that it's Attal. What he needs to show is that there's more to him. He's a very polished communicator. That was why he was the spokesman for the government from 2020 to 2022. He does also, though, I mean, I was looking back through comments on him. He did as a junior minister of education, actually sort of perform as one of I think it was Libération described him as being a junior minister who actually does some work. So he does have a bit of a track record of getting things done.
All right. Well, it's really interesting to get your analysis this afternoon, Paul Smith. We'll have to leave it there, but thank you very much indeed.